welcome to another exciting episode of Best of 3 presented by Esports. We're your hosts, Efren and Mike. Sorry I was gone last week, man. I was just taking a quick break, and I feel refreshed. Ready to talk about some fighting games, man.
You know, hosting's a little harder than sitting here and just ranting about whatever you tell me.
I'm glad you said that, because now you know, man. But you did a great job, and thank you for holding it down. And, of course, joined, as we always are, by the rest of the crew, and that is Ace King Offsuit, Steve Jurek, writes for Esports, and the man, the myth, the legend, John Velociraptor Guerrero. He has a D on the wall behind him. He writes for Event Hubs. He's a big fan of Daigo. He's here to talk to you about fighting games. Gentlemen, welcome.
Is that D for Daigo?
D for Daigo. Yep.
D for part of Daigo.
Oh, my goodness. I think that was
Shout-outs to innuendos.
Guys, there's a lot to talk about. Of course, tonight on the show, we're really excited. We have Justin Wong on the show. Now, it's usually hard to get this guy because he works at this hour, right? It's even harder when he's in a foreign country and at a different time zone, but we made it happen. I have final confirmation that he has woken up, even though it's 8 o'clock over there in Japan. He's there for the Tokyo Game Show. He's going to talk to us about Manila, the Manila Cup, and talks about the Tokyo Game Show, and about going to Japan, which apparently he's done at least twice a year since 2005. Looking forward to that.
It's a lot more times than I've been there.
Yeah, it's about 100% more times than I've been there. But, of course, on the show tonight, we'll have... You know what? Why don't we go ahead and kick it off? Steve, are you ready to give us a CPT recap?
Let's do this. All right, so things kicked off in Asia with Manila Cup. This was supposed to be where America proves that they are not as good as Asia. You had quite a contingent of American players, K-Brad, Ricky, and Justin in attendance, and exactly what we thought happened. America beat Asia. Who knew? Justin Wong takes it home. He becomes the first ever American player to win a Pro Tour event in Asia. It's his 7th win of the season. That is a new record. He took it over GamerB in Grand Finals. Kazunoko ended up in 3rd, and Ricky Ortiz in 4th. Ricky was saying that she was going to be the one going to the Asia Finals from this because Justin said that he was not going to attend. GamerB and Kazunoko have already qualified. So that's something to keep in mind. Also notable, Haitani, one of the top players, the number 2 seed in the tournament. He ended up losing in pools. He ended up tied for 25th. So not a great weekend for him. Out to Latin America, we had the 2nd Latin American online qualifier, and that was taken by Brolhinho, who picked up his 2nd win in 3 weeks. He took it over DRA. DRA is the player going to the Latin American finals. Eric KOF in 3rd, and then El Tigre in 4th. You see the rest of the results on your screen.
Let me try my best here to pronounce his name. He said Brolhinho. I don't speak Portuguese, right? But I think it's Brolinho. There you go. That's your attempt at pronunciation minute from a Francelinos.
See, here's the thing. I am terrible at everything. So,
except for CPT recaps, let's keep it going.
I don't know about that. I might be terrible at that. Next up, we've got Lockdown 2016 in Portugal. This was one of the events to watch this weekend. Can we take a quick look at the grand final?
Yeah, here it comes.
We have... Some stream issues hit that event. There were some Twitch-wide problems on Saturday. Additional issues on Sunday, which meant that losers finals and grand finals were not streamed. But Daigo did take it home over Ryan Hart, 3-2 in the grand final. CCL ended up in 3rd and Mr. Crimson in 4th. Those two have been back and forth in the European standings for the last couple months. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of that season plays out. And then we closed it out with the online qualifier for North America. And that was taken by a guy who we haven't really seen at the top of the standings as of late. Filipino champ. First really great result for him since all the way back at Combo Breaker. He ended up beating Punk in the grand finals, but Punk is the one who qualifies for the North American final. Knuckle Dew in third, and Sabouti taking fourth place. Do we have a copy of the bracket, the updated bracket?
We sure do. You're talking about the here. Let me just find it for a second. The overall standings.
Yeah.
There you go.
You see Justin Wong again, closing the gap slightly on that number one seed. He still has an outside chance to catch it, but it's going to be tough. The big shifts this week: Brolinho moving into qualifying position through the Latin American leaderboard at the expense of Mysterio, and Gamerby with his fourth top three finish in 4 weeks overtakes Kazunoko for the spot on the Asian leaderboard. So that is what happened this weekend.
It was exciting. This Portugal event. It's a shame that that there's not enough footage of it and that they had some down whatever on the stream. Are you surprised by that result? Daigo won, Reinhardt second, and then Mr. Crimson and CCL right after that.
I think that Reinhardt had some trouble earlier in the season. Steve would definitely have more numbers-wise for that. But I think in terms of history as a fighting game player, it makes a lot of sense having Daigo Reinhardt take top two.
Do we have winners and losers for the CPT recap, Steve?
I've got one. I don't know if you guys want to come in on me with this.
I think it's about time. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Brolinho. Like I said, this was his second win in the last 3 weeks, so now he is the one in the driver's seat going forward in the Latin American race. He's got Brolinho and K-Brad in a bit of trouble. Those two look to be very comfortable now. Mysterio's on the outside. K-Brad's almost on the outside, so very big result for him this week.
I got a winner for this week, and that would be Filipino Champ, because he took that online event. I won't knock him for it being an online event, not a regular event, although there is definitely a difference there. He was tweeting about how in the first online event he was at, he lost his first match to a teleporting Mika. That's, in my opinion, harder to do. Harder to win one of those, man, because you have the lag hitting you. So he's my winner for this week. Who you got, Mike?
I'm going to say Reinhardt. I know he did well earlier this month at the tournament in Ireland, and now I think he got fourth there. Celtic Throwdown, I think they called it. And now you're seeing him get second at Lockdown. And that's just an upward trend from what we had earlier in the season. I know he made a list of the top 15 European players and didn't even put himself on it. But,
are you serious?
I think everyone who responded to that tweet mentioned that he should definitely be on there. And we saw a variety of interesting Ken tricks we haven't seen so far that I might show off a little bit later.
I'm looking forward to that. John, do you have a winner for this week for the CPT recap?
Yeah, because you guys know how much I love Daigo. I'm going to go with Daigo because Daigo's the best. D for Daigo. No, but seriously, it's cool because I appreciate the storylines, and Daigo was like I'm really good, now I'm not good anymore because I haven't won a while, and then now I'm winning again, and then he lost one and now he's back on top. So I'm just watching a little roller coaster of is Daigo good at Street Fighter V? So I'm gonna go with him.
Did you ever doubt him for 1 second? Did you ever have any doubt in your mind, John?
Doubt starts with D. There's a joke there too. No, of course not. Daigo's the best. He's damn good.
So you've been on this Daigo roller coaster. Would you say it's like a Daigo ride or something like that you've been on?
It's like a roller coaster Daigo ride. I'm just riding the Daigo everywhere it goes, and it's really fun.
John, I don't think that you appreciate the way this joke is going. You seem upset. Would you like to talk more about Daigo?
It's not a joke. I'm just talking about, we're speed it up. We gotta get to the next one.
Losers.
Yeah, moving on to losers. I'll go first. I'll put Asia as a loser. And the reason being is this tweet right here. And we're going to talk to him about it later as well. Justin Wong tweets, I thought America was free. Just won Manila Cup. Shout outs to everyone back at home. USA ×3.
We win one event. And
that's all you need, man. That is all you need.
Yeah.
America's no longer free, and Asia is free.
We will take what we can get.
Absolutely.
The pickings have been slim. I got to go with K-Brad. Not necessarily for his own performance. He got 9th in Manila, which was not a bad result considering the amount of talent that's out there. But like I was saying with Berlino, K-Brad now was in a fairly comfortable position. Now he's just 2 points ahead of Mysterio for that last spot in Capcom Cup through the Latin American leaderboard. So now it's looking very likely that he's going to have to go to one of these last 3 or 4 events and get another big result to get back into the field, because this is his best chance, his easiest path to get back into the Capcom Cup field.
On that note, I'm going to make the loser of the week for me the Capcom Pro Tour itself. You've seen a lot of complaining this past week about the way the Pro Tour runs. You've seen Flash, and it makes sense to me, has been mentioning how he's gotten top 8 at pretty much every single tournament he's attended this year, like 5, 6, 7 of them, and is nowhere near the real running because he didn't go to Latin America and win the tournaments, is what he claims. Tampa Bison made note that getting third at Evo is the same as winning an online event points-wise. I think there's a lot of second-guessing people are doing at this point about the structure of the Pro Tour itself. And while it's still going to be a great event, I hope there's a lot of change next year.
That's an interesting point of view. I have some more thoughts on that, but John, who's your biggest loser of the week?
Biggest loser's got to be the lockdown event where they had Daigo in the top 3, but they didn't even get to show him because the stream went down, and that's really unfortunate. In all honesty, though, like you have a tournament, and a lot of people tune in a couple of times throughout the weekend, but it's got to be one of, if not the most crucial spots, is the top 8 for the main game of the tournament. And for the stream to go down at that time and there to be no footage of it like anywhere at this point, it really sucks for them. Like it would be one thing if it was like a tournament that was super popular all the time. And I know they've been going on for a little while now, but it's just really unfortunate. They got bodied, so they're my loser.
That's interesting. For the CPT event, the one thing I saw on this, going back to Mike's point about this, yeah, I mean, you're trying to adapt to this like internet age, and there's bad internet in places around the world. That goes towards this lockdown stream, but also that's what Champ and Flash were talking about. I was like, could there be regional online tournaments, but even like on the coasts, an East Coast CPT event online, just for the connection? Obviously, they're not going to do that. But it illustrates the fact that the internet is just not there yet to be doing these tournaments, which is a shame. That being said, shout-outs to F-Champ for winning it, but it's a shame. You want this to be the perfect, ideal online tournament.
What's weird with that is that they did do that in Asia. The one coming up is only for Japan, Korea, and that section, where the rest of Asia was in the other. I don't understand why Latin America doesn't split into like Central America and South America, or North America split into East and West for these online tournaments. It would make the experience that much better. It would help reduce some of this ridiculous rollback that you saw. I don't know if you guys follow Kaoma's Twitter. He did not enter the online tournament this week, and he posted a match which had terrible one-sided rollback between him in Brazil and someone else in Mexico, which is a ridiculous, like 3,000 miles, I think. There are ways to mitigate it. I'm just surprised they haven't taken those approaches.
I guess the big question that people ask is like, on the one hand, people like the idea of an online qualifier existing because it allows people who
sure,
haven't gotten sponsored yet, don't have money to travel around to potentially get the points. And so in that sense, you do want it to be notable. You don't want to make it like, 20 points winning this means nothing, et cetera, et cetera. But you wonder whether it needs to turn into a thing where, you get the trip to North America qualifier and maybe that gets paid for or something like that, and that's how it works. But as of right now, the point spread is just too awkward.
Well, let me ask you a question here. Is I won't go too deep on this. I know we talked about it off the show, but the idea that having online qualifiers and tournaments and, hey, you can participate from the comfort of your own home, is that more for the casual person? Is that for the F-Champs of the world? The people who are the casual person that are trying to be corralled into this, Do they read event hubs? Do they watch the show and know that we're complaining about the rollback? What is the ultimate purpose for those online ranking events is my question. I'll pose that to you guys. Do you think that we're worrying more about this than Capcom is? Or even care as much as other people with vested interest?
I'll chime in on that. Yeah, as far as my understanding over the past 2 years that I've been working at event hubs, and so therefore my kind of understanding of what kind of people get on and read these news outlets more often than not. And it's a lot of the times it's more online warriors, it's more not as many top players that are out and about going to all these tournaments and stuff. And so yeah, I think that we often lose sight of exactly how many people are out there just stream monstering or just at home and things like that. And when one of them kind of emerges from a tournament like this, from one of these online places or online events, there's almost like a storyline there as well, in that we're all expecting them to do bad once they get out to these big major local tournaments. But what if they don't? And what if this was just the chance that they needed? And so I think that of course it's not perfect at this point. Of course not. We just don't have the resources in the way our internet works at this time. But I feel like we need to keep at it. I feel like it's ultimately a good thing. It'll get better down the line, and we're doing more or less as good as we can given the resources that we have.
And let's note that it was also a much bigger deal in previous Capcom Cups. I think 2 Capcom Cups ago when SFXT was one of the games, we had half of the 8 SFXT qualifiers be online. So you had 4 offline competitors. It was like Justin and Ricky, and I don't even remember who else, and 4 online competitors. All 4 online competitors actually lost, but they have shown a switch away from it in some way, I guess. I'm not sure where they're leading with the infrastructure, though.
Speaking of the infrastructure, we've been alluding to it throughout this entirety of the show. The idea that there's complaints now that are coming up, right? We've been in this season long enough with the new game that some of the point structure, some of the tournament structure, some of the overlap, a lot of things come up. But the game itself has been promised a patch after Capcom Cup this year. My question to you, gentlemen, is how does a looming patch affect the scene this far into the season? A couple of things. 8 frames. Balance patches. There's several things that could potentially change. I'll start with you, Mike. What do you think? Is that affecting the tournament season in any way?
So I don't think it has a major effect on the Capcom Cup as is. We're late in the season already. The people who are fighting for Pro Tour points are going to continue to fight for Pro Tour points regardless of that. I think it has more of an effect on the players who aren't necessarily in the running for the Capcom Pro Tour right now. And in those players, this kind of thing always has the same effect. Whether it's a new game, whether it's a new patch, whether it's a new update, it excites some people who are, want to see what's going to happen, want to see if there's more characters, want to see if their character gets better. But it also does lead to the overwhelming feeling of, well, should I continue to practice the new games coming out? I think if you think about that real hard, the answer tends to be yes. Like, the game's not going to change so drastically that practicing now is a bad thing. But it certainly, puts that thought in people's head and sometimes makes that casual session something you avoid rather than go to.
You don't think Urien will change things up for positive light? I mean, I'm not even sure what Urien this late in the season does.
Urien theoretically comes out, I guess, any day now, right? He's in the September patch. It's probably somewhere towards the end of the month. He'll be allowed at the Capcom Cup, I guess. I doubt you'll see him played. Mm-hmm. Maybe like Infiltration will pull him out or something. Someone who's known to do stuff like that. But I don't think Urien will have a huge effect yet. It's interesting to see whether he'll have this kind of DLC curse we've seen where those characters have been not as well placing in tournaments, but who knows?
Do you guys think that that in any way, shape, or form it hinders new people who are interested in the competitive scene? Well, I'll wait until next season when all the characters are out.
Those are the people that get it the worst to me.
What do you guys think?
Probably. One of the best things about it, though, I've seen this, of course we saw it whenever there were new versions of Street Fighter 4 announced, and that's probably one of the freshest things in everybody's mind is the evolution of that game. I remember at our local arcade way back when, after AE was announced, a lot of people just didn't want to play Super anymore. But we knew a lot of what was coming for AE. We knew what the changes were going to be. We knew the new characters. We knew the general direction Capcom wanted to go. With Street Fighter 5, we know nothing. I mean, they might not change anything at all. I doubt it. but we don't even know that the 8 frames is going to get patched out. There's been no official announcements or anything. It's all just we're looking into it. So the fact that we don't know exactly what's going to change means everything's on and everything's off the table. You know, it's a Schrodinger's cat kind of thing. And so to stop playing altogether, I don't think that's a good call. I think you want to keep yourself kind of in the loop. You want to keep your fingers warm and such. And so, yes, whenever a new iteration is announced, people will naturally kind of stop playing the old one or slow down. But the fact that nothing has been said directly, no specifics have been given, I think that's important. And yeah.
Here's what with the 8 frames, I feel like at this point they have to patch the 8 frames out just to say they got rid of it more than they actually need to patch the gameplay aspect of it. You know, just this, there's been this shadow over the game that it's not even close to perfect. There's so many things wrong with it. So many quality of life issues that haven't been addressed. You know, those are the things that you would want to see patched right away, but they haven't. And my fear is that everybody's going to put all of their eggs into the 2017 update, patch, what have you, and it's going to underdeliver because it can't possibly be the everything to everyone that everyone wants it to be. And I fear that's going to kill the hype more than we're giving it credit for.
I mean, I'm with you on one end, which is that I think if they, change 8 frames to 5 frames or whatever the standard is, you'll get an outpouring of support for that. Let me tell you, I'm in a Facebook chat with Forwood, and when Daigo said 8 frames is good, he was about to blow up. I mean, people are terrified at every phrase, pro 8 frames is going to just ruin the game for the future. I mean, there are people who feel like if that doesn't get patched after Capcom Pro Tour, the game's dead. Do I agree? Not whatsoever. Do I agree with the statement that 8 frames is having a major effect on the tournament season? No, I really don't. I've said that time and time again. But, I mean, the stigma behind it is really...
So you think it has to just on principle because it's been talked about so much and it's so hated?
I think if they lied about it, it would be fine. Like, I mean, the stigma is that bad. I mean... that is really... There are people at this point who will not accept any victory. And these are, like, pro players tweeting that any victory by any character is just a result of lag. That's it. Yeah. And people that I respect and are like, what are you saying? Like, come on.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's where it is. That's where the game's at.
Now, a guy like, of course, Snake Eyes will come up anytime you talk about 8 frames. That dude is playing on reaction sometimes, and he can't get the grabs because of the lag, right? So that's one instance where, okay, I get it. But the entirety of everybody else who's competing, including Snake Eyes himself, has been playing this game with this 8 frames of lag. If you change it, isn't that almost... step back because now everybody has to kind of relearn that timing, or you think that'll be as simple as getting a different monitor?
In this game, I think it won't be a huge deal.
Okay.
There's 3 frames of buffer on every attack. Your combos will be, if anything, easier than before. I don't think it'll be a major adjustment. But John, go ahead.
John, what you got, buddy?
Well, tying into what we were talking about earlier and the potential that knowing a game is going to change will affect how much people are going to play it. Ironically enough, I think that changing the 8 frames, which I'll take it or leave it. Personally, as a player, like I'll just adapt to the setting I'm in. But so it's fine if they do by me, and it's fine if they don't. I do agree that if they don't, the stigma is going to potentially kill the game. So on that end, I say we should change it. But if it does in fact get changed, I'm really thinking that it's gonna change the game a lot. And this is one of those things, like if they were like, okay, we're going to change 8 frames at the end of the year, and they said that now, but they didn't, they kept Capcom Cup the way it is all the way through December, people would absolutely stop playing the game. They're like, oh, why would I be practicing in a game underwater when it's just going to mess me up later on? Donka has a point in saying that it's not going to change things that much, but I do think that it's going to change one of the major aspects of the game, and that's in the reactions versus reads, and then the neutral, like the dash forwards and things like that. And that's such a major part of this game, or at least it's become a major part of this game because of the 8 frames. And so, yeah, like the potential to change the game there, I think, while it's not going to be an overarching change, some of these aspects are going to be huge, and it's gonna turn everything on its head, in my opinion.
Well, guys,
yeah, I mean, like it obviously would make reactions easier. It would make anti-airing a bit easier. It would it would punish more aggressive play that can't be punished or isn't being punished right now. So, and because aggression is such a huge part of Street Fighter V right now, it would be a massive change at this point. So I disagree with you, Donka, saying that it's not going to be a big deal patching it out.
I mean, I guess what I meant by that, do I agree that it'll make a difference? Certainly. I mean, a lot of things will change. I think people have no... I've really thought about who would get better at this patch, and I'm thinking Armika is going to get stronger. I think a bunch of characters like that are going to get stronger because they're, with punishing game and stuff like that. But what I meant by that is I think that the same players will stay good, more so than that the game won't change.
All right, guys.
Daigo will still win tournaments, if not easier, with 5 frames of lag.
Misery Business 21 in the chat says 8 frames is not a problem. I can tech 95% of throws in reaction. A lot of pros just suck more than they want to admit.
He definitely cannot do that, I promise.
Clack14 says, yeah, pros really suck at being pros. I can kick all their asses.
I also promise that wouldn't happen.
5 out of 10 would not bang, bull.
Guys, let's change the subject here. We're talking about why you would need to practice so much in this game. Well, that's because Evo Japan was announced, and you know you want to win that one. Evo stands apart. We all know this, right? Evo is its own thing that happens to be a part of the Capcom Pro Tour. It almost feels that way, right? It's a destination for a lot of people. It's in Vegas, so it's a vacation destination. Obviously, the numbers this year bore out that, I mean, it was like 12,000 people that paid to be there, not including people who were there as spectators, people there as competitors. They announced Evo Japan during Grand Finals, and now more information has come out about it. Steve, you want to give us the recap on the companies that are involved and what that all means?
Sure. It was announced just the day after our show last week that there was this big investment in Evo Japan. 3 companies were coming together and investing $1 million to make this event happen. Shochiku Broadcasting Company, who produces some anime and movies in Japan, Hearts United Group, who owns 4gamers.net. Each of those 2 companies are putting forward 45% of that $1 million. ATAS, who is the parent company of Hearts, is putting in the last 10%. And we know that those 3 companies are going to be working with SRKX Productions, the organization that runs Evo in US, and they're going to they're going to have that company run Evo Japan. More details will be announced at Tokyo Game Show this week. Markman's flying out, Wizard is flying out, so we'll certainly be keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting. I had the opportunity to interview Mr. Wizard at Evo, and he told me they had just created this LLC. I asked him point blank, oh, you guys will be doing more events. He's like, well, we just want the, freedom to be able to do certain things that an LLC can do and blah, blah. He wouldn't give it to me, guys. He wouldn't tell me that the Evo Japan thing was happening.
But he told the world now.
But he did. He's come out. He said it. I think it's exciting. I feel like it's been a long time coming.
Oh, yeah.
I think what people are most excited about is, it'll be good if it's an Evo event, right? You would have some expectation of quality. The games. What's the lineup, right? Do you expect to see NRS games? Do you expect to see Killer Instinct there? Let's go down the line here, and we can close out the panel show with this, guys, unless you have anything else to add. What do you think, Mike?
Block grab app.
And, of course, block grab. No, wait, what are you doing? That's not the block grab, Austin. Guys, you're going to get the block grab video intro twice tonight. We're just talking about Evo Japan. What games do you expect to see and don't expect to see?
I expect to see a crazy turnout for Tekken and BlazBlue and Guilty Gear that you have not seen before.
Okay, that's exciting.
Because, as I've said, in arcades, these games are far, far, far more popular than they've ever been on consoles. Mm-hmm. And with such, as long as the infrastructure is there to support, hundreds of people playing these games, I think they're going to really show up. Mm-hmm. What's interesting to me is whether they'll use arcade cabinets, whether they'll use PS3s. I'm guessing they'll probably use consoles, just because it's Evo and that's the precedent, and they've been sponsored by Sony before for that, etc. But I think you're going to see games get focus in a way that you haven't seen before, and that's personally what I'm most excited for. We had years and years of Togeki SBO where, Arcana Heart was just as hype as Street Fighter, and I'm looking forward to that happening again. You
know what I don't like, before I toss it to you guys, is Japanese events or Asian events where it's a page in Japanese, and you got to pay Nico this, that, or the other, and it's like I find it hard to watch some of these streams that I sometimes.
I think
want to.
SRK will work something out.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
think they want Americans to watch this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. The access there. I'm gonna kick it to you, John. What do you think? What games do you expect to see and not see, or what are you any expectation at all for Evo Japan?
Well, it's obvious that you're going to see Street Fighter, and then from there you just kind of go like, well, what are the games that are more popular in Japan and in the Asian part of the world? Like, I don't think we're going to see as much, like Smash Bros. I think there could be representation there, but it's kind of a crapshoot at this point. But it's exciting to me in the sense that we've had Evo in America, obviously, and we see a lot of American twist to it, right? But now that Japan has this huge venue where it can kind of do its thing, we're going to get to see, essentially what it is, the Evo, just the Evo event done Japanese style. And of course, like, Japan is famous for its attention and involvement, and how much video games are ingrained into the culture there, at least it seems to us. So I have no idea, like, besides the obvious answers, what we're going to see there. But I'm excited to see what happens here with Evo Japan and where it goes.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting thing to see. Is this going to be a Japanese event with the Evo name on it, or is it going to be an Evo that takes place in Japan? What are they going to run double elimination? Are they going to run single elimination? Are they going to do teams? I'm very interested to see what they do with that. The one game I'm hoping to see, Ding Dong Never Die. As long as I get that, I'm happy.
I don't even know what that is, but it sounds like a great game. If it does turn out to be, as you described, like this game that focuses on the titles that are really popular over there, I wonder if, there's an unspoken rivalry between CEO and Evo. Will this be CEO Taku versus Evo Japan in the sense that they cater to some of the same games?
I'm sure CEO Taku really wishes they had $10,000 of endowment, let alone $1 million.
Guys, let's finish off the episode here with or the panel rather, with a block grab. Austin, hit me with it.
So good looking, you had to see it twice.
So good looking, you had to see it twice. Shout out to Ian who made that graphic for us, by the way. Guys, I don't know if you heard that this week or last week the rights for the IP for Clay Fighter came up.
Interplay Games and all of their.
Oh really?
Property.
All of them?
Earthworm Jim.
Oh dang! That character should be in some crossover titles, but we'll get to that. The point is, we started thinking, what IPs were they in your hands? Would you make into a fighting game? And why don't we kick it off? Block or grab? Would you do? I don't know if you played Star Wars Masters of Terascasi
I have
on
played
the
it.
PlayStation. But if you had the IP for a Star Wars fighting game, would you block or grab that?
So here's the thing. The best Star Wars video game's already been made, and it was Star Wars Pod Racing for the N64. The best, everyone knows. I 100% think that the best Star Wars was Episode 1, and my favorite character is young Anakin. And I think that 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 that came after were just garbage. So I'll hit if it's based on Anakin, and block on everything else.
Activating that V trigger.
I'm so V-triggered right now, guys.
I'm getting V-triggered.
I'm gonna block.
And force triggered.
We're blocking.
Look, you can throw the Star Wars logo on Lunchables and people will snatch it up like nothing. If you have the rights to make a fighting game out of it, you can make, as long as you make it somewhat decent, it will sell like hotcakes. So this is an easy grab for me.
All right. When I was probably like 7, walking around a Target, and I remember seeing the demo for that and just losing my mind. A fighting game? Oh, I love Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. Lightsabers? Sign me up. What the hell? Why are we? And then I tried to play it, and it was just like video only, those crappy demos.
Yeah.
And so I always it always left a bad taste in my mouth. And then years later, come to find that it was actually, at least by today's standards, a terrible ass game. But just holding on to the nostalgia, I remember of seeing that game and being like, that would be the coolest thing ever. I'm a Nintendo kid, so I don't even have a PlayStation. But if I did, or whatever platform it was on, but if I did, I would get the shit out of that game. So I would like to see it done up well. And if I could play as Darth Maul in a fighting game, like, dude, yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab.
And let me add before Star Wars shill Efren gives his answer that
Wearing a Star Wars shirt.
Yoda, the Apprentice, Darth Vader were all playable in Soul Calibur 5.
You beat me to it. I was going to say that, and they were badass. They were fun to play as, and Master of Thescasi is still kind of cool for, nostalgia purposes. And that's about it. You could play as a Gamma Marine Guard and a Tusken Raider, and beat Luke, who had a lightsaber. Doesn't make sense, but it happened in the game.
So would you make this game, Efren?
I would grab Star Wars, the IP. Moving on, guys. This is one that I know I can already anticipate the shit-talking and the love that we're going to get from Steve for it. This is The Legend of Korra, or I'll extend it to The Last Airbender, because they actually do have a fighting game that you can play on like nickjr.com or something, and it's garbage. Go ahead, Mike. What do you think about the IP of The Last Airbender?
So if you look at the worst form of media, it's actually anime. And then if you want to downgrade anime, you do American-made anime. And that's Avatar The Last Airbender. We're pretty much at the low of the low with this one.
So you're blocking.
I'm blocking.
You're blocking on The Last Airbender. Steve, what you got, buddy?
Don't you play a game that includes the character Platinum the Trinity? Don't you play a game that includes a character that's like half cat, half mechanic? Come on. Answer the question.
I do.
So why are you shit talking anime?
They have wonderful mechanics.
Look, all right. Even if you don't like the Avatar series, imagine being able to pick up some rock and throw it at someone's head. Imagine being able to set someone on fire from like 20 feet away. Tell me that's not cool.
Cody,
Tell me that's not cool.
Dawson.
Yeah, Cody can throw a rock.
But
not with fancy dance moves that make the rocks levitate
Is
out
Cody
of the
an
ground.
earthbender?
No,
Rashid's
he's
definitely a airbender.
See, actually, when Rashid was announced, I was like, dude, he's an airbender. He's got a backpack that
so
does
then why
it,
do you
man.
need
It's
Avatar?
tech.
It's already there.
It's not the same.
Play Rashid.
Luigi Mansion backpack.
Exactly. He's got the vacuum thing going on. John, what do you think? Last Airbender, for crying out loud. Wait, Steve, do you block or grab? You're grabbing it.
I'm grabbing the fuck out of that.
John, what do you got? Are you going to grab the fuck out of that?
So I would, I don't care. I would block. But there is one condition that if met, I would unblock and instantly grab. And that is if M. Night Shyamalan became a playable character.
Oh, fuck you.
Oh, I love M. Night.
What a twist. John.
And he would be the secret character at the end, and it would be like this twist bad guy. It's like, the Akuma of the game. If that happened, grab all day.
Sans M. Night Shyamalan, it's a block?
Yeah. Duh.
How about you, Efren?
Yeah, I'm going to
Block or
grab that, dude. That would be an awesome fighting game.
Why is block or grab just like Efren's favorite bad childhood series? Like, can we get like a real game here?
Why don't
like
we
something
change
that
it
would
up
be decent?
then? How about, what if you had the IP? You owned the property, Marvel vs. Capcom. What would you do, man? Would you make MVC4? Ultimate MVC4? For realsies this time?
I kind of came into the very minor pocket of notoriety I have, like 4 people who know I am, via the game Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Do I think it's the best fighting game ever? Not even close. Do I think it's a game that a lot of people enjoyed and even more people enjoyed watching? Yeah. I think everyone wouldn't mind a Marvel vs. Capcom 4. I guess the more interesting question is, would you accept Capcom versus Capcom? Would you accept something that wasn't Marvel if we can't get Marvel?
Capcom versus Capcom?
Well, just a versus game, We've had Marvel versus Capcom, we've had Capcom versus SNK, which was less versus style.
So
we've had Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
Marvel versus
or just
Mortal
Capcom.
Kombat?
If you could have Marvel versus Capcom without Marvel characters, if they can't get Marvel for some reason, I would grab that too. But yes,
okay.
certainly I would grab any versus series game coming out again. I think we could use it.
Including Cross Tekken Part 2?
Cross Tekken didn't versus series is like a period of time that doesn't even include all versus titles. You've got Children of the Atom, you've got
Sure.
X-Men versus Street Fighter, you've got all these games that were made in the same crazy assist-based era, and those are, I think, what people want again.
So you would grab
I would grab.
a crossover title.
I'll grab.
What about you, John?
It might be the time that I came into competitive fighting games, that being for all intents and purposes, an 09er. And then being part of Street Fighter, but absolutely having a respect for Marvel in the way the community kind of grew up, or well, didn't grow it. There's already MVC2, but seeing the way they kind of carried things into MVC3 and Ultimate, and now that the game is definitely not what it was, there's still like a fire for it. And just based on the passion, love them or hate them, I gotta respect the Marvel community. And I think they deserve themselves another game. They've shown that they like their game, they love it. I can't necessarily say the same thing for like Street Fighter 5 players right now, you know? So their passion for their game, just solely based on that, yeah, absolutely. I would say make the crap out of that game and let's see where it goes. And yes, those games are fun to watch, even if you don't know what's going on, because the crowd gets so into it. The flashy lights are cool, you know, which is probably what Marvel players play it for in the first place. But yeah, I would grab all day.
I would not grab Marvel versus Capcom. I would grab Marvel versus Marvel, and I would grab Capcom versus Capcom, because what's killing the game right now is the lack of a license. You
own the license in this theoretical scenario here.
I like where he's going though. I like where he's going though.
For how long? Because if it's only like 3-4 years, I want to have a great scene that lasts for 8, 9, 10 years, even longer. I don't want to do something for like 2-3 years and then just say, oh, I can't touch it anymore. So if you give me just the Marvel license and make it like MVC or just the Capcom license, I'm fine with that. But I personally would not touch another MVC game just to not be able to do with anything with it in 3 years. So I'm blocking that.
It's kind of a funny thing because, Marvel 3 had one of like the ugliest ways of going about fixing the game I've seen in a while, because you had not even a year. I think it was 10 months after Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I think partially came just because they had these extra characters they were making and because they had so many problems with Phoenix, like, dominating the tournament scene. And then you had a patch for Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 to take out an Infinite that didn't really matter, and then nothing. TAC Infinites come, DLC characters aren't buyable anymore. As Steve said, yeah, anything to make sure the license can possibly exist, I think is a better idea. So yeah, I'm totally on board with that theory.
All right, guys, we have our last one. I don't have an opinion on Marvel vs. Capcom. I really liked using Hulk, and that's about it.
Hulk was the character whose Infinite got removed, by the way.
That's a damn shame. I'm gamma depressed. Last one is Clay Fighter. Clay Fighter, not the original, or the license. We'll start with you, Steve. What do you got, man?
Honestly, I would grab this, because this is a game that kind of feels like KI to me, in that there's a little bit of nostalgia, but it's not so tied up that you can't change anything with any aspect of the game without upsetting people. I feel like you can come in, give it a sort of tongue-in-cheek treatment that's a legit fighting game, but still has ties to the original series, and come out with a very strong game. It would be tough to do, but it's doable. So I would be up for that challenge. I'd grab.
Steve's going to grab some of that Clay Fighter action. John?
I like that Steve pointed out the fact that Clay Fighter would still be pretty moldable, so that you could like take it and change it how you need it, but it would still retain its original shape. And no, I played a lot of Clay Fighter as a kid, primarily 63 and a third, but also the Super Nintendo version. And there's so much potential there, because I don't know how legitimate of a fighter it was at talking about competitive play, but it was a lot of fun just as it was. And if you could take that kind of a game with its jokes and everything and its kind of unique style and make it into a tournament scene, I think that you would get a lot of people to come in and play it just because of how different and exciting or cool it looks. And hopefully, if you do a good job making it, you'll keep them around. And I think that there's some potential there. So I would absolutely grab on multiple different levels.
I would grab only if it was still stop motion animation somehow that way. It has to still be Clay, otherwise I'm not interested. Mike, how about you, buddy?
Well, here's the thing about Clay Fighter. 63 and a third, which is, thank you, Pat Williams. I'm actually the best at this game. Like
the
period.
best at this game.
100%, like on Earth. Like if there's life on Mars, the only thing I'm interested in is if they can ball in this game, because no one here can. I love me some Clay Fighter 63 and a third. I love the characters. I love the mechanics of the game, which are ripped from both Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct.
Okay.
You have claytalities, you have combo breakers, you have auto doubles, you have all that fun. This is a goofy game, and as Steve said, I think like anyone who played it as a kid loved it. Like it was so much fun. The characters are so crazy. You could
It's all about
definitely
those triple brown Betty combos all day.
Yeah, oh yeah. If you
Triple brown
if you could sell this to the right guy to make the right game out of it, I think it'd be a blast. And one more note, I actually do really seriously know a lot about this game for no reason whatsoever. There are infinites in this game, despite there being combo breakers, because you can't combo break regular moves, and you can link regular moves into each other infinitely. There are glitches. I don't know. You kill people so fast, it doesn't matter. There's definitely an infinite. There are overheads that don't hit crouchers. There are...
Sounds like a great game.
There's a lot of stuff, and if people are interested, I will bring in my N64 to next week's show and show off Clay Fighter 63 and a third.
Give me a 1 in the chat if you want to see some Clay Fighter 63 and a third, and give me a 2 if you absolutely
Because I know
do not want to
glitches that
see
I'm sure I'm the only person who knows them.
You got 1 here from John. I'll give a 1, a +1 there.
But I'm grabbing. I mean, this is like... I would grab this above anything else.
Who's your main?
Bad Mr. Frosty is the best character in the game. There's no way. Yeah, he has the easiest infinite and the best moves.
Who was the one who had the 100 hands move?
Oh, man.
Kung Pao or whatever?
You're thinking Honda.
There's Kung Pao. There's Ichabod Clay.
There's a bunch of like that one opera
There's like
singer
Mr.
lady.
Taffy. There's Earthworm Jim's in the game.
Mr. Taffy. One of my favorite moments, I went to a local tournament a while back that had a mystery game tournament, and Clay Fighters was one of them, and there was a guy who just had no answer for a guy spamming 100 hands, and he got legit salty about it for like the entire rest of the night. He was done. he like almost forfeited the rest of his games because he got bodied in Clay Fighter. That was amazing. Shout outs to Mr. Spartan.
God, those.
Oh,
Go ahead.
This is it.
Spartan was murdering people with his Spartans before Boraicho ever was, huh? So no, absolutely. I think we need to make this happen. Somebody start a Kickstarter.
Yeah, we need to get Clay Fighter going. That is one of those games that I think would actually do well with the nostalgia factor, with the fact that it'd be updated and make it on par with what we got going on. Gentlemen, that brings us to the end of Block Grab for tonight's episode of Best of 3. I want to say goodbye to you, gentlemen, because we're going to bring on Justin Wong now. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be here next week with these gentlemen as well to go through a panel again. Steve, John, te quiero.
Adios.
Later, guys.
Bésame mucho.
All right, guys. These guys are still talking over here. We're going to bring on Justin Wong, and there's a lot to talk to this guy. Not only is he like, the GOAT, right? He's the greatest of all-time American player. The dude's been in the scene forever. He also recently put out a guide, first time going to Japan, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, including when you're at the airport, make sure you get a Wi-Fi. You'll get bodied otherwise. When you're at a bunch of awesome advice, and we want to talk to him about it. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's there. Justin, can you hear us? We can't hear you, Justin. Are you muted? There he is. There he is. There he is. Justin.
Is the internet good?
Yeah, we can hear you, man. Justin, how you doing, man?
What time is it? It's 8:52 a.m.
It's 8:52 in Japan. Did you manage to get enough sleep to curb your jet lag?
No, definitely not. Me and K-Brad went to the arcades last night after around like midnight. We wanted to play some Tekken 7, so went there and then probably fell asleep around like 2. Woke up at like 6.
So what'd you play at the arcade with no Street Fighter V there?
Tekken 7.
Nothing but?
Yeah, because it's Club Sega, so Club Sega is known for like Tekken and anime games. So there was just way too many people playing anime games, and no one was playing Tekken 7, so we were just playing Tekken 7.
Justin, I want to talk a lot about Japan and about being there, and it's kind of like a rite of passage for OG fighting game guys. If you take yourself seriously, you got to go to Japan at one point. You've been there a lot, and we're going to talk about that. But before we do, tell me about this tweet you put out here. I thought America was free. Just won Manila Cup. Shout-outs to everyone back at home. USA, USA, USA. How do you feel about winning Manila Cup, man?
I was really happy just because obviously a lot of people they talk about how oh America only goes to Latin America tournaments or we don't travel at all. But the thing is, we decided to travel to Manila Cup and TGS, so a lot of us went out. So I think just doing good at Manila Cup or doing good at TGS would be really awesome for a lot of people to see. Like, yeah, you know, we're just as serious as everyone else, and I think that's what made me really happy that when I won, I guess I had a lot of adrenaline writing that tweet, but I was really happy winning that tournament for sure.
But, you know, people always bring that up, right? Is America free? Is Asia, you know, so dominant? So it is kind of like, yeah, put one on the board. Or do you feel like, you know, that was just you played your best and those divisions amongst regions are not actually true? It's about the individual player.
I don't think America is free at all. I think America has a lot of good players. Like, you have Nakadu, Christy, Julio, Ricky, and just a bunch of other people that just from all around like the United States. And I just think that it just takes time for more players to shine. Like a lot of people haven't seen, let's say, Lud do really well until more recent tournaments. You know, he definitely beaten a lot of international players in Street Fighter V already, and I think he's a really good player. He's like one of those really strong up and comer players as well too.
Has Street Fighter V given a lot of these up-and-comers that were always good? Because I heard about Ludovic, I mean, I think in Cross Tekken days, if I'm, or maybe
And definitely Street Fighter 4 too.
Did Street Fighter V really give a lot of these guys the opportunity to be these up-and-comers? As you say, even though they've been in the scene, now they're getting signed even. I think he just got picked up, if I'm not mistaken. What do you think, Justin?
Mm-hmm. I think it was just, I think Street Fighter 4 overall, there was a lot more stronger players, but that was because it was the end of the game of Ultra. Because in vanilla Street Fighter 4, it was pretty much the same amount of player pool to the current Street Fighter 5 player pool. But Street Fighter 4 has been out for so long. You had Super, then AE, then 2012, and then Ultra, and then that's when more players started getting good and better and even like recognized, right? Because I didn't know a lot of the top Ultra players back in the day in Street Fighter 4, but in Street Fighter 5 I think it's going to the same transition at the moment.
So on that note, and on the note of being in Manila and then obviously going to TGS, you said a little bit ago that you were kind of taking a break from local American tournaments to, you know, just playing the international ones, just playing the premier tournaments. What spurred that decision?
To be honest, I think I'm just being like a giant cock block.
When you go to these events and you're gatekeeping, you mean?
Yeah. So, and you know, I'm a person that like I feel really like bad sometimes. Mm-hmm. You know, I feel like, yeah, you know, I understand your feelings and maybe I'll step down or something. And I guess also taking a break is also good, especially if the amount of traveling that I do, like there's barely any time for me to practice at home in training mode, for example. And I think practicing a lot in training mode would help me like immensely for Capcom Cup in December.
When you first said that you were taking a break, I had for some reason in my mind a picture of like you doing the Scrooge McDuck into like all the coins because you just have all these points. You're like, I don't need any more.
I'm just interested that he said that he feels like he's blocking people's points, but he's willing to yell at kids on the internet.
Yeah, what's good with that Mortal Kombat clip? I'll never forget it. He did learn that day. Last question about Manila Cup. Tell me a little bit about GamerB. You fought this guy in a bunch of games, or at least in Street Fighter 4. I can envision. I remember some Adon. You know, I'm having flashbacks to you versus his Adon, and you using Adon. Anyway, the point being, how much of the knowledge of you having fought this guy a lot transfers over between game, considering it's a different game?
So, GamerB's Adon obviously was the best Adon in the world, and Adon was a character that likes to have a lot of bunny jumps. So like, aka like he likes to jump a lot. So if you look throughout the whole set, he jumps a lot with Nakali, like thinking that he has like 8 on jump arc. And I think a lot of my anti-airs of like EXDP was like the main reason why I was able to close this set a lot. And also before PR Rog started playing World of Warcraft, we played of Karen versus Nakali, like over like maybe like 30 hours worth. So I'm really good at that matchup. So playing against Gamer B in the grand finals was my best my best opponent.
Like that's the best you could have asked for.
Yeah, because Kazunoko definitely was beating the crap out of me in the first 3 out of 5.
The Nakali, the character Nakali, he's at the top of a lot of people's tier lists, not at the very top. Where do you put him right now?
You know, I think top 5 in general is really hard. Like, a lot of people just have, like, different opinions. Like, I think Karen is top 5 in the game, but a lot of people put her as, like, 7th, but I put her, like, 4th. I would put Nakali maybe, like, 7th instead. But wow. I do think Karen is, in my opinion, top 5.
All right.
And speaking of characters, you've mentioned and had some trouble in the past with Chun-Li specifically as a matchup with Karen. A lot of people have said it's a hard matchup for Karen. It's a hard matchup for you. Is that something you're concerned about as the season moves on?
Yes, it's really hard, the matchup. But I do think I just want to play it a little bit more. I do have like some other characters and like in my backup to counter Chun-Li. Well, not counter Chun-Li, but fight her better than Karen. But I haven't pulled it out yet because I don't know when to pull it out at the moment.
All right, Justin. I was going to make an inappropriate joke. Let's talk about Japan. Japan, you put out a tweet. It's pinned to the top. If you go to Wong GGG, as we see there on your lower third there, you have a beginner's guide to somebody going to Japan for the first time, what you should do. Are you more excited about Tokyo Game Show for the tournament or for the opportunity to be in Japan? Because I'm going to ask you, what doll are you looking to get? What comic book or manga are you looking to get? What rare shit that you can only get in Japan are you looking forward to buying?
So I was in Japan like literally 1 month ago for a KOF event. So I already did all like the tourist stuff that I needed to do for this trip. So this trip, I'm more focusing on just playing a lot more Street Fighter and also attending TGS because I have to do a lot of like appearance stuff for like sponsors. So that's kind of like going to be my Japan trip in a nutshell. But everyone that is coming to Japan, because that's the main reason why I wrote the guide, is a lot of foreigners are coming to TGS and also Japan maybe for like the end of the year. So I wanted to make it, because when I first went to Japan, I was completely lost for like at least like 6 hours in the airport. Because you arrive to Narita, and from Narita to Tokyo, it's literally a 2-hour train ride if you don't know which train to take. So it just gets really confusing. Mm-hmm. And obviously people don't speak English here, so it's really hard to just kind of navigate your way towards your destination, and it gets really confusing and very overwhelming at first. But once you understand like the flow chart of it, it becomes very easy.
Justin, there's a ton of people over there right now. What's going on? Why are there so many, at least American? I know like L.I. Joe's there, a bunch of other people are there. Julio's there. How is it having all your boys over there, I guess, like, or having a substantial American contingent over there for a trip like this?
So I think every year, every TGS, I think more American players decide to come, and I think it's the same way how Evo was. Like every year, when Evo passed, more Japanese players or more international players decides to attend Evo because they see like the hype and everything. And I think if you're a gamer, every gamer's dream is to go to Tokyo, Japan, because if you like anime, if you like video games, that's the place to go. And what's the better excuse when there's so many sponsored players these days, you got to put TGS on your list. It's a pretty much free trip from your sponsors now. So a lot of players that are out here are technically all sponsored. So they're out here and pretty much going to enjoy TGS, enjoy Tokyo for their first time, and also try to play with some of the best players in the world.
I have another question, which is that outside of TGS, obviously Togeki does not exist anymore. However, we have Evo Japan definitely coming up. Mm-hmm. Do you think that can replace some of the gap that was lost with SBO? Are you excited for that? Do you miss going to Togeki?
Togeki SBO was amazing until the final year.
Is that the outdoor one?
Yes, the final year was complete it was just, I don't know what the organizers were thinking. But when it was indoors and they had like the giant screens and like all these crazy intro looking like anime in real time, it was like the best shit ever. But I do think that Japan doesn't have a lot of like big events. They actually have a lot of smaller scale events in general. Like every week there's like a smaller scale event, but no one really knows because it's in like probably on Nico Nico or something, not on Twitch, because that's what most USA people watch in general. Because when I was there last month, there was like 3 Street Fighter 5 events that I did not even know about, and I was like, what? I could have went to this. I wanted to play, but I did not know any about it. But I think when Evo Japan gets announced, obviously I'm going to be there, and I'm sure a majority of sponsored players will be there. But the hard part is, for sure, is that where are they going to find a really good venue? Mm-hmm. That's my big concern.
Justin, I know this is an esports show, and we talk about fighting games and about the competitive scene, but just out of curiosity, since Tokyo Game Show is basically like an E3, if I'm not mistaken, are you excited to see any games or check anything out while you're there, outside of the fighting game stuff? Some kind of puzzle, dungeon crawler game, something?
I actually don't like TGS as a show.
Dang, don't let them hear you, man.
I really don't, because all their games are like Japanese mobile games and like Japanese games that America will never get to even see ever. So it's a lot of these games that I'm like, I'm never going to get a chance to play this, or it's never going to be localized to English. So I don't really care for it. I think the only thing I really care for, to be honest, is the Capcom store. Because every year their store, like their exclusive store at TGS, is like amazing. I don't know if you guys saw like Markman's tweet on like all the things he's getting from TGS. They have like Street Fighter X Bape. They're like doing exclusive shirts for TGS. Yeah. And like stuff like that. Like that's the only thing I actually look forward to at TGS.
What are you gonna bring us, Justin?
What am I gonna bring you?
Yeah, what are you gonna bring us, man?
I mean, first of all, you owe me barbecue. One. And Donkey, I can't even look at him anymore because he shit on the Avatar. I don't even know how can you shit on the Avatar.
Oh my god!
Thank you, Justin.
Another one
of the greatest series of all time.
Like I feel like you didn't even watch the cartoon. You just watched the live action movie, and that's why you're judging it.
Of course, that's why wouldn't you just watch the best part first, right?
Like, can you believe this, Justin? I have to deal with this every week, man.
I was actually really upset when he said that. It was bad.
I have another question for you, and then I'm going to actually ask you about the tournament, Tokyo Game Show, what you're expecting. What the hell are Tokyo Bananas?
Oh, Tokyo Bananas is like a Japanese Twinkie.
Okay. It's not like a gag joke? It's actually a tasty thing?
Yeah, it's a very tasty thing. It's a Japanese Twinkie made with real like banana custard, and like everyone that I know loves it. So I haven't found a person yet that says I don't like it, except for K-Brad, because he doesn't like bananas.
All right.
But if you like bananas and you like Twinkies, this is literally the best souvenir you can ever get anybody. But that's what Tokyo Bananas pretty much are.
Okay, I'm excited.
I have one more question before the TGS thing starts, which is that, we hear a lot about Americans playing the game in the wrong way, or how Americans hide tech from each other, etc. As someone who's been to Japan so many times and has the ins to get into, some of their tournaments, some of their gatherings, do you see a major difference in the way they practice and compete, the way they share tech and stuff like that?
So, me being in, like, let's say Manila and Japan, it made me realize that just in society, Asians work harder than Americans.
Dang.
Like when I look at my everyday life and like go to like stores or like restaurants and like like just see people act in general, Americans are more lazier than Asians. And you go to Asia, where they don't accept tip, you don't even have to tip them. They give you the 1000% service, and like it's just crazy on how much they work, how much harder they work, in my opinion. But that's just my honest opinion on like the difference.
So you think it's less about, sharing with each other and more about just working harder as a person?
Yeah, because the thing is, in Japan, like if you work hard and let's say you get beaten, they want to know why they lost, and they want to like know how they can prevent from losing. I feel like in America when people lose, they're like, oh yeah, I lost to Justin Wong. Yeah, it's expected. Like that's kind of like a lot of the mindset that I like just hear from like the background and everything, and it just makes a big difference. Why?
Have you heard any Japanese rumblings about 8-frame lag, or do you think that's just another complaint that we have?
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know like their I don't follow like a lot of Japanese players' Twitters, but obviously America bitches a lot. Like I'll just be honest. There's some times where I'm like, oh, I'm about to just meet you on Twitter because I don't want to hear the bitching and everything. But Japanese players, like when I was with Takedo last month, and like he didn't really complain. He just wanted to like keep practicing and keep getting better, and like there's no reason to complain because this is what we have. We can't just complain and hope for the best that 8 frames will be taken out or anything. Like you just have to adapt.
Justin, what are the top 2 things that people should stop bitching about?
In Street Fighter 5?
Yeah, let's keep it to Street Fighter 5. 8 frames is the gimme, so what else you got?
Yeah, I guess 8 frames. And I guess the second one is probably just like people say it's not creative enough. Because obviously in Street Fighter 4 there was FADC, which is definitely very creative for sure. But Street Fighter 5 is just like, oh, it's not creative enough. It's very stale, and then I think that's what a lot of people wanted Street Fighter 5 was that they just wanted to see Street Fighter, and not just a game where you can read a book and pull off like this setup and this setup here and this setup here. Because Street Fighter 5 is more of player versus player and not character versus character, which was Street Fighter 4.
I see. So Chun, people shouldn't stop complaining about Chun.
I think that was just a 1 week thing because Chun is obviously really really good, but she's not. People haven't played the old games. Old games, I think there was way more cheaper characters. You had Old Sagat, you had Chun-Li in Third Strike, you had Roll Cancel Blanca in CVS2. You had obviously if you look at crossover games, those are like the most broken thing ever. Street Fighter 5 is obviously. And like if you look at Cross Tekken Chun-Li, I think was way cheaper than Street Fighter 5 Chun-Li.
Well, there you go. Those are the things to stop complaining about. Tokyo Game Show is coming up. It's the Japan Cup final, or the Japan final, or something. They have an interesting name for it. What is it? I can pull it up here in a second. But the point is, it's going to be stacked. It's a major tournament. It always is. It's always got a cool presentation because it's there on the show floor, and they got the cool camera angles and the stage and everything. What are you anticipating at this tournament, considering the competition, but also considering you just won Manila Cup?
I do feel that I'm playing really good right now, and it's because I've been practicing a lot, just against just my friends, and also having a lot of training mode time lately, and I'm feeling really good about it just because now, I don't know if a lot of people have noticed, but it's really hard to walk back on me in this game. If you walk back on me, then I'm gonna hit you with a combo. Because I'm able to just confirm in general, just one hit moves into another special move. So based off that, I think it's giving me a really good chance because right now the current meta for defense is holding back instead of down back, and that gives me a lot of mileage of just getting damage way easier than people.
You're sticking with Karn? You don't have your eyes set anywhere else?
Right now it's just Karen. Karen is the best. She's the bae. She's my boo. She's gonna take me to the gold.
You think you can take Capcom Cup at this rate?
I think I would do better than every other year because every other year I've been getting bodied. But this game is I have really put in way more time and I feel really good about this game. So I think I'm gonna do a lot better this year.
You know, I'm always just, when I think of you, Justin, not to go off on a tangent here, I always think like, God, this guy's been competitive at the top of his game for so long, and as a result, though, the part that I, as an outsider, am intrigued by is that you've been able to have all these experiences, go to so many places. Do you ever stop and reflect at basically what your life is and how, maybe it's not all rose petals, right, as it might look to the outsider. What do you think to yourself when you ponder that?
Well, I think I get a lot of tweets that people say, I'm very lucky, very blessed, and I wish I was you. So I am very lucky. I am very blessed. But I think if someone wants to be in my shoes, they might like it at first, but eventually they might hate it because it gets really hard, especially when you're traveling 24/7, especially when you have to be careful of what you do due to social media.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes not as organic at times, you know, because obviously if you think about back in the days in Marvel 2, like you could find some videos of me being very not professional. It's very different like these days, and you know it's still really fun because now I get to travel to way more places around the world and see like different communities that they won't even have a chance or an opportunity to go to Evo. You know, they're just watching on streams and like one day I wish I can meet these guys or play a game or a set, you know. And now it's one of those things that it can actually happen, and I feel like really, really good about it because like I don't think I would ever thought I was gonna go to the Philippines, you know, but the Philippines became one of like the best places I have ever gone to in my life.
So it sounds like there's pros and cons, but overall, is it better now or then?
It's better now for sure because before, obviously I wasn't sponsored. I was paying out of my own pocket, and then winning these tournaments was like what $300-400 for like winning a 64-man tournament. But now it's at least you can definitely say you can win a lot of money, live off of it, and even stream to make more revenue for pro players. So I think it's getting there. It's getting there slowly but surely.
Justin, that brings us to the end of the interview, man. Is there anything that you want to tell us that you have coming up? Obviously, you'll be at Tokyo Game Show, and we'll be checking that out on Twitch, and that should be a pretty exciting tournament. What else you got coming up?
Hold on. Let me see. I have a thing.
The cheat sheet.
I always have to update my schedule. I am going to after TGS. I'm going to ESL New York. I'm going to SCR if I have a Saturday pool, and then Canada Cup.
But what are you having for breakfast
today?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you guys might bash on me if I tell you what I'm going to eat like in an hour or two.
Is it McDonald's?
No. I'm going to eat like a type of fish, you know.
Would it be sushi?
Like a couple of friends want to go eat whale.
Whale.
Sounds
You know what, dude? No, I'm going to report you, dude. How dare you? You're part of the problem, Justin. No, just kidding. It's a delicacy, okay? It's totally fine. That's cool, man. We'll be looking at your Instagram to see all these amazing meals that you're having at Michelin restaurants and there's dim sum from here and there.
It was really good, by the way. It was really good.
All right, man. Well, Justin, I appreciate you, man. I know I hit you up late and it's early over there and you're probably jet lagged, but we appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you. No problem. Anytime, dude.
And break a leg at Tokyo Game Show.
I will try my best.
All right, man. Thanks, man.
See you guys.
Catch ya. Appreciate him coming on, considering he was that early.
Always do.
Definitely.
And, it's interesting because Justin, says that like sometimes it's not all organic, but like, and I understand that for sure. But if you meet the guy in person, he's always super funny, super real. So definitely one of my favorite guys to see at a tournament.
I oftentimes go to events. This was before I was working at the Dot. Would go to events and shoot interviews and shoot video, Texas Showdowns here and there. I'm just spraying the scene, right? And I see something cool and I go up and I get the shot. And I won't mention who it was, but they were all taking shots. And maybe they were sponsored players. And all of a sudden, all of them at once were like, oh, shit, like, let's hide that bottle. And it's like, oh, we're not taking shots or anything. And that must suck, right? Because otherwise you'd be like, hell yeah, and point at the camera and, be having a good time. It's probably not the worst part of this whole endeavor, right? But, yeah, it is interesting to get the human side of things. Mike, you showed me something before the show. You said you really wanted to show something off cool. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. It's pretty badass. Can you explain to us what it is before you go over and show us?
Well, it's pretty straightforward, actually. It's I saw Ryan Hart do a combo, and I'd known about it before because obviously talking with Cyanide all the time, but I'd really never seen anyone do it, which is just Ken's light kick Tatsu comboed into super. Mm-hmm. And the reason this is hard is because light kick Tatsu is a quarter circle back motion, and super is 2 quarter circles forward. And as a result of this, because that comes out in 3 frames, you only have a few frames to actually cancel it right away. That's pretty difficult to do. Mm-hmm. And there's actually an easy way to do it. And I'm not sure if Ryan Hart, you did it manually or you did the easy way to do it, but for anyone having a problem with that combo, I think I can make it a lot easier for you.
All right, I'll read. I'll talk to the chat here for a second while you make your way over to the gameplay session, guys. He's gonna show us how to do. I guess it's Tatsu into super or critical. He's gonna show us how to do it, but you have at your disposal a lab monster, a guy that feeds. It's spinach to him if you say, "I want you to show me how to do something." We've seen the boom loops, the Google. I'm not the Google. The Guile Sonic boom loops. What's going on, dude? Are you good? It should that controller should be on, and I heard the PS4 click on. Oh, put that on then. Hopefully we have audio here. Anyway, guys, if we can't hear him, we will be able to see the. Yeah, we're definitely not plugged in. We didn't plan out the microphone situation over there. Maybe we can get somebody to come out here and help us. But he's going to show you anyway. And why don't you say what you're doing, and I'll just reiterate. In the meantime, I'll have this video playing so that people can get an idea of it. This is the tweet from Ryan Hart, and he's showing it. I love, that low-tech. Let me get video of the video.
What you're looking for is after the Tatsu cross-up, he does the Tatsu into super right there.
Okay. There might actually be a second headset behind you. Just check. Somewhere back there. Anyway, yeah, if we could, let me see if we have anybody still around here to give us a hand to run into the set and mic this dude up. Anyway, we'll just cut to the gameplay here. Mike, unfortunately,
I can't get the gameplay up.
Your mic sounds good is the good thing.
So I
you
sound
start
good
talking.
now. Don't look good, and definitely don't look good on the screen yet. But yeah, as I said, the shortcut here is basically going to allow you to buffer part of the motion early and get it done before you actually have started the LK Tatsu, making it easier. It's a pretty old concept, but because Street Fighter V has some interesting ways of storing inputs, it actually lets you do about like half the motion you would normally need to. And we finally have the screen on, so I can finally show you this.
The thing is, the damn PS4. I guess you could. I guess you can overwrite it, but the point is, you can't always. We leave it on at the beginning of the show, and then by the time we get there, it's off. Anyway, Mike, I cannot wait for you to show us.
We're gonna have to wait a little longer because we have to plug in a legacy controller.
While you're at it, why don't you show off that legacy controller?
A funny thing about legacy controllers is that people have claimed and apparently proven that they have less input lag.
No,
so it's not
you.
actually an issue solely of them being too difficult to set up at tournaments. It's actually an issue of the fact that they're apparently almost cheating to use.
Yeah.
Because with less input lag, you're obviously able to react to things faster, and thus an advantage for players that aren't using them. So I found that kind of interesting. And people have shown that different sticks, PCBs, actually have different amounts of input lag as well. I know the old Hori FC Commander pad is actually slower, for example, by half a frame, meaning that half the time you actually get an extra frame of input lag as opposed to like a Mad Catz TE stick.
It's
so
ridiculous.
Yeah, your hardware means more than you think. Is basically the end result here.
All right, so remind us again real quick. What are you going to show us?
So
show how you would expect to do it, and then how easy, how you showed me
light
earlier.
kick Tatsu into super. I'll turn on input display real quick, and I'll just turn off stun. So a Tatsu is quarter circle back, and a super is double quarter circle forward kick, if I'm good enough to do it. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
And so to actually input that quickly on a character is pretty difficult. Like, I don't even know if I can do it. Because a Tatsu is a 3-frame move and doesn't have that much hit stun, so the ability to actually cancel a move is pretty quick. And like, I honestly do not believe I could do it. And this is me just trying to input it directly.
And
maybe
you're a Marvel
in a combo
player,
I
so
could
obviously
buffer
you're good
it,
at
but
this.
it's pretty damn hard.
Okay.
But what makes it really easy is you actually do a quarter circle first, so you input the first half of the super motion, then a quarter circle back with the Tatsu, and then you don't even have to drag, you can just go to forward again. You can skip the entire second quarter circle of the move. And if you do it properly, it makes it come out real easily.
Jeez.
So first try, and I do not have particularly good execution. But the motion for that is quarter circle forward, like a fireball, quarter circle back, then the Tatsu, and then just forward again and kick. And you can do it with the same button. It's super easy.
Let me see it one more time.
Let's see if I can do it one more time. I did it perfectly the first try, and you're going to make me screw it up the second. Never mind. It's so easy I can do it twice in a row. So there you go. That's how you do Ken's light kick Tatsu into super the easy way.
Mike, thank you so much for showing me that.
This has a couple applications. You can do it after a Tatsu cross-up like you saw Ryan Hart do there. You can actually do it. I'll never do this combo because I don't play Ken at all. but you can do it after like run into Tatsu.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure I can get it once.
I guess you have to buffer the course.
Yeah, there you go.
Damn.
And so that's actually a better combo most of the time than something else in Super.
That looks really good. That's awesome. Thank you for that helpful tip, Donka. If there's anything else you want Donka to break down for you, well, just tweet at him at DasDanke, DasDanke, and join us here every week because we usually show stuff like that. That is the show, guys. Mike, thank you very much. Shout outs to Justin Wong for coming on the show, and of course Steve and John. Check them out on Esports, Event Hubs, and on Twitter.
And if you agree with me about Avatar or Star Wars, like,
oh, God.
if you love young
Cut
Anakin,
the show. No, that's
hate,
it.
Just
roll the
tweet
credits.
that at me too.
Roll the credits. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys next week.